And then here they come with a musical that nobody asked for. Nobody. So much so that they knew nobody asked for it. So when you watch the trailer, you don't understand that you're going to see a musical. Shannan E. Johnson, CEO of The Professional Pen, where we develop screenwriters from I Did a Pitch. Need help in your screenplay? Go to www.theprofessionalpen.com. Hey, pen pals. Joker wasn't terrible, but I was terribly disappointed. I am a Joker fan. From Jack Nicholson to Heath Ledger, my favorite, to Joaquin Phoenix in the first Joker movie of this iteration. I am a Joker fan and have always believed that he deserved his own moment for us to understand how he became the villain that he is. And the first movie in this new iteration of Joker, in the Joaquin Phoenix Joker, was so good. It gave us so much. We had so much empathy for a villain. So people often ask, can protagonists be bad? And the answer is yes. The Joker is the protagonist of his own story, and he is a bad guy. However, because we understand him, we empathize with him, even in his badness, we want him to win. That's just how well they set up this new iteration of Joker. And then here they come with a musical that nobody asked for. Nobody. So much so that they knew nobody asked for it. So when you watch the trailer, you don't understand that you're going to see a musical, right? You see Lady Gaga, but first of all, she can act. Well, might I add. But secondly, you say to yourself, likely we will hear her sing at some point, right? What we don't know from watching the trailer is that there is a song every, let's go with 15 minutes or so. Now I want to make a distinction. I wouldn't necessarily call this film a musical because it isn't using music to push the story forward. It's using music as a mechanism to tell us how the Joker is feeling in a moment, but not necessarily to push us into our inciting incident, into our midpoint, into our climax, to introduce our protagonist, to introduce any antagonist, right? Like if you're watching a Disney musical, right? All of the Disney movies, the cartoons that we grew up on, those are musicals, right? Oh, I just can't wait to be king, right? That's telling us what his wants are, his needs are, and it's preparing us for the inciting incident. We meet Scar in a big song number as we introduce the villain, right? That's how musicals use music to push the story forward. In Joker, they're using music as a fantasy world that Harley and Joker live in. If you saw the first one, Joker is kind of in his own world because we realize, spoiler alert, that a lot of these things we're seeing are not happening, which means he's not mentally well. So it makes sense that now that we're in the second film, he would still kind of live in a fantasy world about reality. I think they overused it, way overused it. And I'm a person who used to be on Broadway national tours, which means I love a musical. Okay. I love a number. Give me a kick. Right. I love it. It was overused, but I understood the mechanism of it if they had just pulled back a little and maybe used it 3 times throughout the film instead of 100 times, we might have had a different experience. On top of that, I was very emotionally disconnected from this film. Other than being in love with Harley, and let me tell you this, not only am I a Joker fan, I'm a Harley fan, okay? So I was gonna be invested no matter what, right? Like that's the reason people like to use pre-existing IP, because it already comes with an audience. It already comes with people who are like, yes, give it to me, right? So for me, as soon as I saw the trailer with Gaga as Harley, I'm sold. I don't need much else until you get to the movie and it disappoints. So I wasn't invested in the Joker because it wasn't very clear to me what he wanted. It wasn't clear to me what any of the stakes were. It was clear that he loved Harley and he wanted to be with her. What wasn't clear was if he cared about being in jail or not, if the trial was about his innocence, or if the trial was about his mental capacity. Because if it's about the mental capacity, then you aren't going to be free anyway. You're just going to be removed from this prison and put into a psychiatric ward, which still means you don't have access to Harley in the way that you want to have access to her. So what are the stakes here? It seems he's having a decent time in the prison. No problems there whatsoever. So is he motivated to get out of prison so he can go to the psychiatric ward? Because his lawyer is totally on, no. This is a case of possibly not insanity, but definitely, multiple personalities or a split personality disorder, which means he did not know what he was doing. It doesn't mean he's innocent, put him out in the streets. It means he needs help that he cannot get in this prison. And it just wasn't clear if Joker even cared about either of those outcomes, or if he was pushing towards one of those outcomes or not, which means if he doesn't care, I don't care. So the entire time that he was on trial, I was just like, what does it matter what happens on the other side? He's not about to walk out. Not only is he admitting his guilt, which is funny, but it doesn't help him go one way or the other. So even if you thought I could get out and be with Harley, then that means you have to be pushing towards, how do I get out of here so I can be with Harley? And he wasn't doing that. And instead they were singing. Also, let's talk about rules a little bit, because y'all know I like to talk about rules. In the first iteration of the Joaquin Phoenix Joker, we learned that he had a disorder that caused him to laugh, that he had an uncontrollable laugh, which is different from Jack Nicholson's Joker, who's just laughing because he's the Joker and he me. Right? Joaquin Phoenix's Joker is laughing uncontrollably. He has no control over it, right? So in this version, that's not the case. He's taking medicine, so I assume the medicine is helping him on that front. He tells us and Harley that he stopped taking his medicine. But even after he stops taking his medicine, there may be only 1 or 2 moments where it seems like he doesn't have control over his laugh. So I really wondered about that, because I thought that was brilliant in the first film. Like, oh my God, he's laughing because he has a disorder and he can't control it. That is so cool. And so then that kind of got a little murky in the second version. Obviously, there are spoilers here. Sorry, spoiler alert. I really wanted to understand what made the Joker change his mind about playing the funny guy and not being serious in court to eventually just taking full ownership. I wanted to know what changed that for him. Because I wasn't emotionally invested in him, because it wasn't very clear what he wanted and he wasn't pushing or pulling one way or the other. He was just going where people were telling him to go. That makes him inactive. I needed to understand, was it Mr. Puddles, who used to be his friend and his only ally, coming into court and seeing the damage that he's done to him mentally and emotionally? Did that change him? Or was it that one of his friends or allies inside the prison was murdered because of the rage that he has sent through all of the prisoners because he's being so flippant during the court case? Was that the thing that changed him? Like, I just don't know. It's like he went from, I'm just playing the game and being funny and putting on a show, to owning everything. And even though that's where we want the character to go, I have to be able to follow why he goes there. And I just don't know. So I say all that to say, is it the worst thing I've ever seen in life? Absolutely not. Does it live up to what it should be, since we got the Christopher Nolan version of Batman, however many years ago that was, and seeing where these characters are going and growing? No, it doesn't live up to it at all. And I was so excited about this film. So I was terribly, terribly disappointed. Till next time, happy writing. And that's it. Want more content? Like, subscribe, and for notifications. Get notes on your script that get you unstuck at www.theprofessionalpen.com. I'm out.